Um, can you tell us about when do you start think become a professor?
Mm. Yeah, so I guess it was when I was in college. I really liked all my language classes. Um, and basically, those were the classes I did best in, so I just kept taking as many as I could. Um, and then I went to grad school, and it was always in the back of my mind, especially because my mom's a teacher. She always taught ESL for like 30 years. Um, so to me, it felt kind of like the family business a little bit, like the family career. So once I went through my master's degree, and it was looking like I was probably going to go for a PhD, then it became, okay, this is probably what I'm going to do. So that was a little over 10 years ago, I think, at this point. Yeah.
So probably we can say or when you was a child or something,
Mm-hmm.
you see your parents or your parents tell you
Mm-hmm.
you can be a educator.
It was interesting because my mom was a teacher, and she always said, "Don't be a teacher." But to me, it felt very comfortable. It felt very familiar because, I would go to her school to visit her, and I had friends whose parents taught with her, so it was all just part of the family kind of thing. So it was one of those things where when I did it, she was very happy, but it wasn't necessarily what she wanted me to do.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So, based on this, um, what kind
Sorry.
of expectation did your parents or your community have about your future when you were younger?
I don't know. I don't know if they had big expectations, to be honest. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a firefighter, and they thought that was great. And that's why I started studying Spanish and got into languages and stuff, because at the time it was very competitive to become a firefighter. So you needed any advantage you could get. So I thought, well, maybe I'll try to learn Spanish. And then I really loved studying language, and I went to EMT school and got certified, and then I was in fire academy, and I said, I don't really like this. I'm gonna keep going in university. But I think my dad wanted me to work in business because that's what he did. He was always in sales and starting businesses and things like that. And I kind of tried that a couple times, and it wasn't for me. It wasn't the right fit. So I think that's probably the closest to any expectation, is they thought maybe try to get into business or something like that. When I wanted to be a firefighter, they were kind of like, oh, okay, maybe, because my uncle did it and things like that. But yeah, once I found my path, they were pretty happy. I think parents are just happy when you find something that works for you, right? So
But
yeah.
when you face these situations,
Mm.
did you get a kind of conflict with your parents or not?
No, never about work or anything like that. Yeah, I was very lucky that my parents weren't very they didn't put a lot of pressure on us to have a big career or something like that. We always just put the pressure on ourselves. Yeah, so I was pretty lucky in that way. Yeah.
So we can say your possible career pathways
Mm.
was educator,
Mhm.
firefighter,
Mhm.
and businessman.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was kind of that's funny. Yeah, I never really think about it like that, but those are, and they're not very related at all. Although some firefighters do because of their schedule, because they work 24-hour shift and then they have 48 hours off.
Yeah.
So a lot of them will start a business. So I have friends that are firefighters that I still talk to, and a lot of them have a business too, like a landscaping business or whatever it is. Yeah. So.
If you could go back in time,
Mhm.
would you make the same choices or some changes?
I think about that sometimes. I think probably it would end up the exact same, you know? Yeah, sometimes I wonder how I got here. I was never I was always a good student, but I wasn't like the best student in class or something like that, you know. So when I went and did a PhD, my friends were very surprised. And still, when I run into people that I haven't seen for a long time and they find out that I got a PhD, they're very, very surprised. So
Yes.
I don't know. I think it just kind of made sense. It all fit. So I think even if I went back and did it again, even if the path went a little bit different, I might have ended up in the exact same spot.
When you know somebody for a longer time,
Uh-huh.
also you create expectation about that person too,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's great.
yeah. People probably think I'm a firefighter, right?
Who or what has influenced your decision the most in life?
My professors, I think. I had two really great professors. One of them, I'm actually friends with her now. It's pretty cool. But it was my first semester in my master's program. And her class, it was like one of those moments where you sit down and you start to learn the subject and it's like a light bulb goes off and you're like, oh, this was it. This is what I've been looking for. And not only that, but I met my wife in that class. We sat down right next to each other and that's how we met. So yeah, so she's been a huge influence. She was at our wedding and we just saw her a month ago and she's a really amazing person, super smart. She's like the top of her field. She's over at USF. But yeah, so she was one of the biggest because just shows you kind of what you can do if you follow the path and helps guide you and will be honest with you. It's nice when people are honest with you about what a career path looks like because not all career paths are easy and there's not always like that perfect job waiting for you at the end. Sometimes you have to work really hard for that job and things. So yeah, that professor. And then I ended up having other professors too that were just really great and just taught me so much. So yeah.
What's the name? Her name?
Her name's Camila Vasquez.
Camila
Yeah.
Vasquez? Oh.
Yeah, she's over at her husband's from Colombia.
Oh.
But yeah, she's at USF in Tampa. Very cool. If you ever end up at USF and need to take a class, she's a good one to take one with. Yeah. Yeah.
Professor, maybe did you remember probably one tough moment of your career, and you feel probably you think if you take the best decision or not, or
Yeah.
that was easy for you?
I've had a bunch of tough moments, yeah. Because there was a little while where, because when you do your PhD, you half of what you do is kind of like learning about how to teach and things like that, and the other half is all about research. So how to do research. So you kind of have these two options, right? So are you going to go teach or are you going to go do research? So there was a time where I went and did research, and for a while I thought that's kind of what I wanted to do. And then I got into the position and it did not make me happy at all. Even though it was a good position and the pay was good and all those kind of things, it just really didn't bring me happiness. But it's hard to walk away from something like that when you worked for it for a long time. But fortunately, you kind of have both those paths, so it's easy for me to come, I shouldn't say easy, it took a while, but you can come back to the other path. So yeah, but those things to me, it's just trying things, right? It's just about trying and what works and what doesn't work. And
Like a try and error?
yeah. Try it, because you won't know if unless you try it, right? So you may think, yeah, being a researcher is great, and then you go do it and you go, oh, well, this isn't that great, right? And it also reinforces, like, you know, because I had taught before that, and I always liked teaching, but it's hard for me to leave things if I haven't tried it, right? Because I always wonder about it. So the fact that I was able to leave teaching, try research, and then come back, that was really good. Yeah, it just reinforced me to want to teach, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you think about to be given up or something like that?
Giving up like teaching or research?
Or during
Yeah.
during your masters or your PhD?
Oh, the PhD, yeah, that's all you think about, yeah. Everybody. It was, but that's why, like, those good professors, the other professor I had that was really influential on me in my life, she was my PhD advisor, so you work really, really closely with your PhD advisor. And, you know, when she could tell it was tough, because it's really hard, PhD's hard, she would always tell me, oh, well, I thought about quitting and becoming a mechanic, or I thought about quitting and doing this. So Yeah, so it's good to just know that everybody thinks about quitting, right? Because it's just that hard. It's tough, right? You're just putting in long hours all the time. The work's really hard. So yeah, PhD, you definitely.
Oof.
I don't know if I know anybody that didn't think about
It's,
quitting.
So yours?
4 usually.
4 years? Okay.
Yeah, 4. So sometimes, depending on the PhD, you can go straight from your bachelor's. So then it's like 8 years total. But a lot of times they want you to have a master's first. So that ends up being 10 years of college. Yeah. 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 But at that point, you're also working, right? You're teaching in the university and doing research. And so it doesn't feel quite like, you know, like you're in school forever like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we lucky to meet you in Hillsborough Community College
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because you had a special approach with the students.
Oh, thanks.
When I become your student,
Mhm.
I feel like a fear, you know.
Uh-huh.
What happened in this class? It's
Uh-huh.
it's my first class until 10 years or more probably.
Yeah.
When you start to talk, oh my God, I like this.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
So
I
take
appreciate
that
it. You are.
example, Professor.
Uh-huh.
So we know you right now, right?
Yeah.
How you see your career in the future?
That's an interesting question. I've actually kind of stopped thinking about the future. I try to, yeah, go ahead. No, I because anytime I try to plan too far out, I find it just adds stress, right? I think it's good to have an idea of kind of where you want to go. But mainly I try to think a year or two ahead. So right now I have a very small son. My wife and I might have another. So I think a lot. I used to think so much about my career, just career, and having a kid. And even before my son was born, it just completely changed that, right? So now that's equally as important as the career. So the career, I just think as long as it's working for the present situation, then that's good. And just keep always improving on the position I have now. And if I can just kind of keep improving, then as long as I'm doing that, then things will be okay, right? Because you never know what the future holds, unfortunately.
Any advice would you give someone who is struggling with others people's expectations versus their own dreams?
Yeah, that's a tough one because, you know, we think like parents' expectations and things like that, but it could be your friends' expectations too, right? Your friends or your aunts and uncles, your cousins, who knows, anybody, right? So people always have these ideas, right? Especially so many of us, we only understand what a job is like because of the movies or what we see on TV or something like that,
Yeah.
which is never the real, right? That's never what it's really like. So I would just say, you know, it's very, very hard. It's so hard to do, but you have to just block all that out, right? And you have to just remember why you're doing what you're doing, what led you to that point. Is it working for you, right? Because there are a lot of people that get into careers that are very prestigious or lucrative. They're making a lot of money. Maybe they get a lot of respect, but they hate their job. And to me, that's so sad. If you hate your job, even if you're getting rich off of it, you know, because you have to spend so much time doing it. So that's my advice. It's really hard to do, and people try to give me that advice to just forget what other people think. But boy, it's hard. But you got to do it. You got to just do what you want to do and what works for you, right? So, yeah.
Thank you, Professor, for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
for
thanks,
your
guys. I hope I gave you guys some good answers.
We have so much material too.
Yeah.
Good material, yes.